The quality score is one of the most important metrics in your Google Ads account because many other things will depend exactly on this quality score. Yet many business owners don't really pay enough attention to it. So in this video, I want to show you how to maximize your quality score, why it's important, and just give you all the tools and ideas and strategies that you need to know so that you will have the best quality score possible. So let me make myself a bit smaller over here. There we go, because there are some things that are following in this presentation. And let's start with basically just showing you really quickly how quality score looks like, right? Like quality score is a column that you can use when you look at your data, at your campaigns, etc. And it ranges from 1 to 10. So this is an example here, a little screenshot that I took from one of my accounts where I actually have a few keywords with a quality score of 1. And you see here, in 9 clicks, 23 clicks, and it says eligible, limited, rarely shown due to low quality score. So there you already see one effect of a low quality score not being shown really often on the search engine results page, right? You want to have a quality score that is as high as possible. So the quality score determines how much you pay and where you show up. So if you have a very high quality score, you will pay less than if you have a low quality score. And the differences can be huge. If you have a quality score 10 out of 10 versus 1 out of 10, you might pay 30 cents for a click instead of like $1 in some cases, right? So it is really worth maximizing that. There are 3 factors that go into quality score. We have the landing page experience, the expected click-through rate, and the ad relevance. And from experience, I can say that roughly they have an influence of like 40, 40, 20, right? Like the landing page is important, the expected click-through rate is important, the ad relevance is also important, but it doesn't seem as important as the other. Now, expected click-through rate and ad relevance to me are pretty similar, right? Because if your ad is very relevant, normally you have a high click-through rate and vice versa. So I don't know the exact difference between the two, just as I don't also know the exact distribution between these 3 different factors. But I can say, and some other consultants, agency owners, etc., that I've spoken to, they have a similar point of view. It's this like rough 40-40-20 split, right? The first 2 are generally more important. Now let's talk about the first factor, which is the landing page experience. The landing page experience, in my opinion, can be represented by the average pages per session, the time on page, and your bounce rate. If you have a very low bounce rate, it means that people like your page in general, so they don't hit the back button right away, right? If they spend more time on your page, if they spend 2 minutes, your site is obviously more relevant than if they spend 5 seconds. And same with the average amount of pages per session. Google basically rewards you with people enjoying and liking your page by giving you a high landing page experience, which means a high quality score. And in order to understand that, you need to understand that Google wants people to like your page, right? Because they want people to say, okay, cool. The ads that I see on Google, they give me a relevant experience to what I'm looking for. And that's why they reward you with that. Because if all the advertisers could just give people random pages, right, and just pay money to be shown there, then at some point people would say, oh, that's not really relevant. I don't like the results Google gives me. And this would be, in the long run at least, very, very detrimental to Google's business. So let's talk about a few factors and how to improve your landing page experience. First of all, very straightforward, make it fast, right? If someone goes to your page and it loads in a second or it loads instantly, that's a much, much better experience than if they have to wait 5 seconds. And it's in fact one of the most important things. So if you have an online store that is slow, declutter it, minimize or reduce the file size of your images, reduce the scripts that you have, uninstall any sort of apps that you're not using, and so on and so forth. It has to be fast. You can use tools like Google PageSpeed Insights to make sure that you're on the right path here, but it needs to be fast. Then you want to tailor your landing page to the search query. This is easiest with search because there you know exactly, or you can define the keywords and you can tell Google where to exactly send them to. With shopping, it's kind of straightforward too though, right? Like you just need a good, relevant product page. But since most of you guys, when working with e-commerce, are probably relying quite a bit on shopping, make sure that your shopping pages, your product pages, are basically super relevant to the product, right? They should include all the relevant info. If I'm looking for a product, make sure that you have all the important features listed on there, some benefits, that you have like an FAQ section, right, in it, and that you also remove keywords through negatives with shopping, so that you don't trigger those search queries that are not that important and not that relevant. Also, you need an easy navigation, especially with search, where they might still look around your store after they landed on there, because with shopping, they will always land on the product page, and it's kind of straightforward, but your navigation should be very easy, very intuitive, so they should, within a few steps, go anywhere on the page that they need to or that they want. And you have to be transparent and clear. Things like pricing, things like shipping, things like, all that stuff basically needs to be very transparent, very obvious. People need to be able to just look at your page and they know what's going on. They know how much you charge. They know what's included in the product. Make sure that you're not using some intrusive banners and pop-ups everywhere, basically. Make it super clean, super simple, super transparent, what people can expect on your page. And of course, there are many, many more things that go into this, but these were just some very important and key factors when it comes to improving and optimizing your experience, your landing page experience, to then improve your quality score. Now let's look at the next thing, which is the expected click-through rate and ad relevance. Because they're so similar in that case, right? I kind of combined them into this one thing, and let's start with relevant keywords. Of course, one of the easiest ways to get a good quality score is by using relevant keywords, right? You can have the best ad copywriting in the world, but if your keywords are totally random, then it doesn't really help. If you have exact match keywords, they tend to have like an easier time to get a high quality score, right? And that makes sense because you know exactly what people will type in with exact match, and there is almost no wiggle room. So exact match is easier in that regard, but still, as you probably know, I'm a big fan of broad and phrase because they tend to perform better now in 2023, in my opinion, than exact, or from my experience, that you should still and absolutely use them. But come up with highly relevant keywords. Then, use attention-grabbing headlines. Now, don't get me wrong here. It's not all about the attention, right? The most important task that a headline or an ad has to fulfill in Google Ads, in my opinion, is that it pre-qualifies people and gets you the right visitors. You don't just want anyone. You don't just want a maximum CTR and then people are completely irrelevant. You want a mix of both, but especially want to pre-qualify. So come up with attention-grabbing headlines that stand out from the search and results page. So basically, if you have competitors that all use very similar headlines, try to come up with something slightly distinct here. Also, experiment regularly. That is really, really important as well. You want to make sure that you have a responsive search ad with many different headlines to experiment with. You want to regularly also add new ones if needed, right? You just want to make sure that you always have some experiments going so that you're not just relying on a single set of ads that you're using all the time, especially if your quality scores aren't at like 7, 8, 9, or 10. If you have bad quality scores, especially then, and especially if you suffer from like kind of low expected CTR or ad relevance, then you should make sure that you test that regularly. And then we have distinct headlines and descriptions. That's also very important. You want to make sure that your headlines and descriptions are as different and unique as possible and not just repeating yourself with very, very similar ones. If you talk about your product in 7 different ways with 7 very similar headlines, of course, it won't take you that far, right? If you say we have black sneakers, buy black sneakers now, buy black sneakers online, black sneaker online shop, the best black sneakers, that won't get you very far. It's kind of boring. The experiment that you're running there isn't very, very fruitful. So come up with headlines, descriptions that are as distinct and unique as possible, because then you can get some really good variations and combinations going in your responsive search ads. And that will help you boost your click-through rate, boost your ad relevance, boost your quality score, and ultimately also your performance, of course. So these are some factors for boosting expected CTR and ad relevance. Now, let's talk about the importance of quality score as a whole, though, right? Because let's not forget that sales and ROAS should still be your number one priority. I see many people that get sort of caught up in the whole quality score sort of ecosystem, right? And basically their entire campaign setup is focused on having the highest possible quality score. Yes, quality score is important, as I mentioned in the beginning, but ROAS and sales are still your number one thing. And as long as these two are great, right, then you can improve and optimize and tweak your quality score to get more. But it's really what you should focus on. Don't bother like rewriting your headlines if you don't have any sales, right? Don't bother just, at least in regard of CTR, right? Don't bother doing some things that might give you a slightly higher CTR, but you don't have any sales in the first place. So these two things should come first. And then as your second priority, we talk about the quality score. And the quality score is basically just a way of scaling and optimizing, in my opinion. It's not about getting your campaigns from 0 to 1. It's getting them from 10 to 12, from 10 to 14, right? If you have a ROAS of 4 with a very high quality score, more relevance, etc., you might get a ROAS of 4.5 or 5 or something like that. But the quality score is not your main tool, your main thing to focus on if your campaigns aren't working at all in the first place. So work on quality score if you are generally happy with the trajectory of your campaigns, if things are generally going in the right direction, if you are breaking even or almost breaking even or something like that, but you see some potential, you see some sales, you see a somewhat decent ROAS, right? And a high quality score will make a solid campaign better, but it won't necessarily fix a bad one. Of course, it can do so indirectly, right? If you come up with better landing pages, therefore you boost your landing page experience, and at the same time you actually boost your conversion rate. In that case, sure, it will also improve that. But don't try to maximize your quality score just for the sake of it. Don't try to do that just because you feel like you need a 10 instead of an 8. If you don't get any sales, then this won't help you either. It may be able to make your clicks a bit cheaper, and now you spend 80 cents instead of $1. But if you have a conversion rate of almost 0, that doesn't do much either, right? It's, as I said, it's a great way to put gasoline on the fire, to scale, to optimize, to get more clicks, to increase your search impression share, because this will essentially give you a better ad rank, right? Do all these things in that case. But first you should try to get conversions, and somewhat profitable conversions in the first place. So yeah, these were my points on how to improve your quality score. Of course, that was just the tip of the iceberg. In my training, the eCom PPC Academy, I talk about many more strategies to boost conversions, ROAS, and get those two figured out and then work on quality score. But I hope that this was now a good overview on how you can do that. If you enjoyed this video, of course, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more Google Ads and e-commerce content. And now with this being said, I hope this was a helpful video, and I look forward to see you in the next one again. Bye-bye.